Welcome to the Beyond Compliance webinar. Today we've got a great group of women joining us to share about keys to building a great career, culture and company, women in manufacturing. My name is Aaron Bolshaw. I'm the VP of Marketing for Safety Chain. And before we get into the thick of it and get introductions, I just want to make sure everyone that's listening understands that we are having some difficulties with our webinar service provider. If you're having troubles getting logged in, continue to try to call in as well. You'll be able to hear the audio, and we're just going to do our best. But we have been hearing across the board here at Safety Chain and other companies, we're just having some troubles with the service provider. So hopefully everyone can see now. And what I wanted to do is start out by introducing a couple of great folks I have the privilege of working alongside here at Safety Chain, and they've joined us, and it's been a wild ride to start, right? So before we get in too far, just wanted to very quickly cover who Safety Chain is for anyone that isn't sure. We are a plant management system with corporate compliance, food quality and safety, and product optimization, and of course OEE. Listen, we don't need to go too far into that. Go check it out at safetychain.com while you're quarantined and learn some more over there. Couple of things though, everyone's on mute. We're gonna have a great presentation, professional format, informal. We want this to be a good panelist chat. Any questions that you have, very much appreciated. Send them in to us. We'll save them for the end, and we'll be moderating those towards the end. You're only going to see the panelists displayed, and then of course we'll be recording this and we'll share it with everyone after the show. So again, any issues logging in, keep trying. Appreciate you hanging in there. I know. So Tiffany Donica and Shamanique Schrick are our solutions architects here at Safety Chain. Tiffany, Shamanique, we logged in to about 45 minutes ago just to give us enough time, right? So thanks for joining us. Why don't you guys start by introducing our panelists today? All right, we may have some issues. Let's see with audio. Shamanique, can you start? Yes, all right. So with us on the phone is Tracy Wallette, former applications manager at Hylife, Edis Ishu, who is the VP of SQA at Seas Candy, and Jerry Kelly, thanks for joining us as well, Director of IT Applications at Tyson. What a great group. I believe we may be having some audio issues right now. So for anyone that is having issues, please bear with us. Shamanique or Tiffany, are you able to join us?
I think I'm on. Hi, this is Shamanique.
All right, there we go. Tiffany.
Hi. And I was having a little bit of audio issues as well just a second ago, but I think I'm good at the moment.
Awesome. And we may have problems like that we have about 100 people on with us right now. So let's just roll with it, right? If we have some problems or if anyone is having troubles, we will try to address those, but you may try to refresh. So, all right, so I did introduce Tracy and Edis and Jerry. Can you guys say hi? Make sure we still have everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, this is Jerry.
All right, great. Well, Tiffany, there's to start out, why don't you give us a little bit of lay of the land? Like, you know, there is a lot of opportunities for women in manufacturing right now.
So even before our COVID-19 issues, the U.S. manufacturing industry faced workforce shortages that are expected to continue well into this decade. Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute predicted that 2 million manufacturing jobs are likely to go unfilled over the next 10 years, and largely due to a skills gap. Currently, women hold less than 30% of manufacturing positions, and fewer than 5% of those are CEO titles, which is crazy to me. Statistics point to an incredible opportunity for women, especially within the food and beverage manufacturing industry. Of all subsectors, the food and beverage industry has seen the strongest growth in recent years. This has presented an incredible opportunity ahead for women in manufacturing. The truth is, there's never been a better time for women to take a step forward, make their mark on the industry that is so critical to our U.S. economy. But the real question is how do we encourage more women to enter manufacturing? For women who are already here, how do we provide them with the insight and secrets to get ahead? Today, we have 3 amazing women on the phone with us to help us answer those questions and provide insight for women within our industry. So Jerry, I would like to start with you. Could you tell us a little bit how you got started in the industry and about yourself?
Yes. So I actually started my professional career at Tyson Foods. I was originally doing internal audits at our manufacturing facilities, which gave me an opportunity to see firsthand how our manufacturing facilities run, which I found wildly fascinating. I later moved into IT, and after several years of supporting corporate services like legal and HR, I was offered a role leading a technology team that supports our food safety and quality assurance department here at Tyson. And I jumped at it. It was an opportunity for me to move back into a role that directly supports our manufacturing facilities. That's the crux of our business at Tyson, and I've loved every minute of it. I learned something new about the food manufacturing industry every day. And I really feel like I'm contributing to our overall mission to provide good, safe food to the world.
Oh, Jerry, thank you so much for that. Edish, I would also like to ask you the same questions. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, as well as how you got started within food and beverage industry.
Yes, hi. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
You're good.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, after graduating with a bachelor's in biochemistry, I was fortunate to meet a dairy scientist who introduced me to the discipline of food science. And it really seemed like the perfect marriage between my love for science and a passion for food. So I pursued a master's in food science. And the day I graduated, I was hired by one of my professors who worked for a USDA plant making ready-to-eat meals. It was a small company, which allowed me to wear many hats, from doing regulatory under his guidance and leadership to training and developing programs. It was great. And when I left there, I went to work for the Cheesecake Factory Bakery, which is an amazing organization. I started there as a supervisor, and for the next 7 years, I worked my way up to a senior manager and eventually was promoted into a director level role, where I supported the organization with 2 facilities, doing regulatory, sanitation, and quality. And for the last 7 years, I've been with Candies, another amazing, sweet organization doing food safety and supporting our shops and manufacturing plants.
Thank you, Edish. Tracy, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, as well as how you got started in the food industry?
Good morning. Yeah, definitely. So Tracy Willette here from Canada. So I grew up on a dairy farm, and then after graduation, I got into we purchased as a family a broiler breeder operation, which I owned and operated and managed for just over 10 years. When we decided to expand, in the grain, which required a relocation, but by then I had a family and wanted to stay here in Manitoba. And so I took on a term position as an accounting clerk at our regional health authority, and then secured a permanent position in our IT department. From there, I spent 5 years in that role and migrated to Hylife in 2015 as an applications analyst, and served multiple sectors from a software implementation and development and process identification and analysis in the feed mills and our processing plants and our logistics and transportation department. And during my time at Hylife, I was then promoted to applications manager, which was overseeing the team, doing all of those software implementation projects and lean manufacturing processes. And now recently I have left Hylife to pursue a consulting role in the agri-food industry.
Oh, great, Tracy. Thank you for that. Edish, I was wondering if you had insight on what made it possible for you to advance and become a leader within the industry. Did mentors or sponsorships play a role in that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was very fortunate in my career to be able to work with some amazing leaders that gave me the opportunity and was able to learn and grow with them. And yes, along the way, not every manager or leader was a role model, but from everyone, I was able to learn something. Great things that I should implement and learn and do, and others that you probably want to avoid. So that was definitely a contributor, and then of course, having the drive, that drive to succeed and passion for what we do, and I love being in the food field, and food industry is great. I think is great for women as well. Having natural curiosity and that desire to learn is also very important. So all things that played a key role in my career.
How were you able to find those mentors or sponsors, or were you assigned someone within the companies that you worked for?
The mentors were not always. I didn't seek them out necessarily. I would just run into people that I could work with and partner with, and in some it was, we knew there was a mentor-mentee relationship, and in others you just shadow. So I think through networking you find great leaders that you can work with and learn from.
I couldn't agree with that statement more, Edith. Jerry, how did you feel that mentorship played a role within your career?
So as far as mentorship is concerned, I've always sought diverse mentorship. So formal and informal mentors, male, female, in and outside of the departments or areas of the business where I was working, and even outside of my company. Just like Edith said, you can learn from anyone, and just taking that opportunity to be curious and be agile about learning cross-functionally and kind of seeing how it all fits together has provided me a chance to slide into many different opportunities within the organization. I think sponsorship is also important. So those are more informal relationships that you build, maybe a political relationship, and you're very intentional about letting those people know what you're capable of. My career advancement has maybe been a little less about what I've actually done, but more about what I was capable of doing, and having those people who knew that and could help position me to be successful.
Oh, thank you so much, Jerry, for that insight. That was wonderful. At times, we all face discouragement or disagreements within our career with different individuals or different aspects of our job. Tracy, could you tell me about a time in your career where you found a challenge that you faced and how you were able to overcome it?
Absolutely. So I think that the biggest challenge that I faced throughout my career, and this started way back when I managed the broiler breeder operation and was the only female and the only person under the age of 40 sitting at seminars and at corporate meetings with my peers, as well as now being in manufacturing and technology sector, is the unconscious bias that women face in the workplace. There's just this culture that women are tolerated and not necessarily valued, especially in sectors where we are highly outnumbered. There's also this the fact that on a lot of performance reviews, they're riddled with criticism focused on personality versus actual performance feedback. And I found that to be a struggle on a regular basis, and really fought to overcome that. And so what I've learned is I have to be confident in my skills and know my weaknesses and work to strengthen them, or build a balanced team that complement my strengths. lead by example is a big thing where I'm not going to be biased or judge before I'm thoroughly understanding the situation and the peers that I'm working with. And I work hard and gain allies in the workplace and even on community boards and stuff that I sit on to be able to show my strengths and be confident that I have a skill set and I bring value to the table.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Tracy. Jerry, was there a time in your career that you felt some discouragement or had a challenge that you would like to discuss with us?
Yeah, so one of the biggest challenges I've had was just creating my own leadership style. And, leadership happens at every level, whether you're directly managing people or not. Everyone has different strengths as a leader. Men and women have different styles as leader. And people also respond to leadership styles very differently. And when I was a new people leader, my direct manager very much tried to impose his leadership style on me, which was very, very different than the one that I had been creating for myself. I was really fortunate enough to see and experience that early in my career and see kind of what leadership looked like when it was done poorly, how it impacted the team and the outcomes that we were trying to achieve for our customers. And even when you have a passion for what you're doing, when management leadership isn't strong, it's so easy to become discouraged. But every hardship has a lesson, and personally, that situation helped me better refine my personal style so that I could be more effective as a leader.
Thanks for that, Jerry. This is Shamanique speaking. I know that Tracy, you had touched a bit on bias, so we want to shift gears and focus on that. Do you still believe that gender bias exists, and is it real? Edith, could you address this question?
Sure, Shamanique. Yeah, gender bias still exists, I think, in some organizations, probably because it's so deeply rooted in our societal beliefs about men and women's roles and leadership roles. So men are supposed to be assertive and decisive and strong, while women are supposed to be warm and caring and sympathetic. And when we think about leaders, they think of leaders as more of the assertive, decisive, and strong type. But the reality is that the world is evolving, and I think so are organizations. Perhaps where you have old school management, those biases are still very much present. I have been very fortunate to work for organizations that are progressive and have not had to fight these gender biases. So.
That's great. Do you ever believe that? Have you ever come across situations where you believe that being a woman is actually an advantage? So maybe some of those gender biases that people may have actually work in your favor?
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe women have a distinct advantage because we are empathetic and have, in many cases, better interpersonal relationships, strong communication, collaboration. So thinking about these EQ skill sets that may be higher, these specific EQ skill sets that may be higher for women than men. So what that does then is that companies that are able to strike a healthy balance between, healthy balance in teams with men and women are better able to drive results and higher performance because the teams function better and they complement each other. Of course, the other advantage I would mention is that women do account for 85% of consumer purchases, and so they have great insights about customers and what they want. So having that diverse workforce provides employers with a better insight into what the general population and customers want.
I definitely would agree with that, and I think it's great that we're able to find a positive in some of these sort of negative gender biases. Tracy, I know you had originally brought up gender biases. I'm assuming you still think that they exist and they're real, and can you answer if you believe there's actually an advantage to being a woman in this industry?
Absolutely. I think, and I can support what Edith said, where empathy is a huge one. I think women are out there and we listen to understand and not to respond. Our strengths do run in the soft skills area, where we do work on our soft skills and are quite proficient communicators. We're also very adaptive. And I don't know if this comes from a motherly intuition standpoint or if it's something else genetic, but we tend to roll with the punches and adapt in whatever situation that we're in, as well as being very detail oriented. And we just bring a different perspective and a different approach to different things than men would in certain situations, and especially in leadership, leveraging our soft skills.
Thank you. Let's talk about where we've been and where we think the industry is headed. Jerry, what roles are women currently filling in manufacturing today, and how is that likely to change in the future? What industry shifts are creating advancement opportunities, and do you believe that technology will play a role in that shift?
Yeah, so technology is constantly evolving and changing the way manufacturing workplaces operate. There are obvious trends in robotics and automation that have steadily increased in recent years, and those have required new skilled workers. And there's an opportunity there for women to jump at that opportunity. Now we're implementing drones to scan facilities for safety and maintenance. We have vision systems on the line to ensure quality, and we're also using virtual reality for training. And we're going to continue to use machine learning and AI off of these new technologies that are being put in place. So manufacturer employers are increasingly interested in hiring those who have an interest and an aptitude for technology. Even using software like Safety Chain allows us to automate our data collection and move those workers into more value-added roles, like data analysts who could spend time looking at the data to determine process improvements or predict occurrences before they happen. So I believe the possibilities are numerous in the STEM-related fields as it relates to manufacturing, and it's just an opportunity for women to jump on that opportunity and get trained up and get those skills so they can get into the manufacturing workforce.
Thank you for that. I know this is a bit off topic a bit, but do you think that women are more open to using technology for advancement versus men in manufacturing?
I'm not sure if they're more open or not. I would say just like with manufacturing, where the number of women are low, same is true for technology. Women represent 25% of that workforce. I think a lot of it has to do with just the knowledge and presenting those STEM related programs early on in female, schooling, and getting them to understand that there might be an aptitude there or an interest there for them to do something that historically has been geared toward men.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Tracy, what roles do you believe that women are currently filling in manufacturing today, and how do you think that that's likely to change in the future?
I agree with Jerry completely. The technology and automation roles are definitely spaces in which women can definitely fill what's going to be job openings in the future. There's a lot of need for process automation and lean manufacturing practices. With the implementation of IoT technology and the increase in software implementation, we're going to see we may need less manual labor in the workforce, but we'll need those people that are there to document and record current processes and navigate them and implement process automation. And it takes people to do that. And then, like Jerry said, once you're collecting that data electronically, like what are you doing with it? So then you need the data miners and the analysts that are going to go through that data and figure out what to do with it and how to report on it. There's also food safety and quality assurance is really leading the way. All of us here that's our livelihood. And there's just an increased need for food safety and compliance and supply chain monitoring and traceability. People are wanting to see the pictures of the farmers on their packages of meat nowadays, and so on and so forth. And so I know here in Canada, that's a huge push where everybody wants to go to the store and wants to know where their meat came from or where their eggs came from. And in order to do that, we need to have that traceability. And so there's areas there where women can be leveraged in those roles.
Thank you. Edith, do you have anything to add for this question?
No, I think the ladies covered it very well. With the changes in automation, there has definitely been a shift in positions that women can now take, and the positions discussed in mechanics and electronics and computer science, food safety, sustainability is another one that's very big, right? As populations grow and we have greater production demand, that puts increased pressure in our environment, and food manufacturers need to consider how to make food processing more sustainable. So definitely opportunities there. And of course, with regulatory GMOs and labeling, FSMA compliance, and supply chain transparency. So.
All right. So I think we've already established that women are going to be critical to manufacturing going forward. They are now, and they will continue to be important. What kinds of things can companies do to attract and retain women workers? Can you share programs or initiatives that have worked at your own company? Jerry, can you start with Tyson?
Sure. So at Tyson, we make a conscious choice to value diversity in our workforce. And just as I previously mentioned about STEM programs, we invest in building that pipeline. So we work with schools, high schools, as well as universities to partner with them on their STEM programs to make sure that the things that they're teaching in those programs are things that we can use in our workforce. And when those ladies or gentlemen become available to work. We also work within our manufacturing organizations to empower women and build a community of women that can move up within our company into more leadership roles within manufacturing locations or within our corporate office. We have programs specific to women in leadership that help us focus on being strategic, building that business acumen. And these are all things that we use to attract women and also retain them within the company. And as women in leadership within our company, we're also encouraged to participate in external platforms within our industry, webinars like this, just to make sure we're empowering women across the industry, not just to come work at Tyson, but just to build a bigger presence within manufacturing.
That sounds like a really great place to work, actually, if they're so focused on empowering women. Edith, can you also answer this question for us?
Sure. Our programs at SEAS are maybe not as formal as those that Jerry mentioned, but definitely opportunities for training, outside training and development, and some of it is just through cross-functional projects that our teams are assigned so that they can learn within other departments how all the pieces fit together and have a better business perspective. So, and of course, advertising those programs and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate, and then celebrating and publicizing promotions, of course, is provides great encouragement for women.
Sorry, transitioning to the next question. Tracy, what advice would you give to women who are just starting their careers or those looking to advance and move up the ladder?
Great question. Be humble, but be your own advocate. Make sure you do take credit for your accomplishments. Sometimes we as women try to work really hard in the background and don't step forward and take credit for our accomplishments. Be confident in yourself and know your value. Always remember what your skill sets are and where your strengths are, and love what you do and do it well every minute of every day. That's probably the best advice I could give.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Edish, do you have any insight or advice that you could give? I know I was always looking for advice when I started out, so anything that you could provide to us would that would help anyone advancing in their career or planning to move up the ladder.
I would say that whatever we choose to do has to be something that we really love, right? And so we want to do it for the love and not for the money. And being successful means working hard, because really nothing comes easily. But if you love what you do, then the day goes by very, very fast. I would say we have to stay focused and be persistent. Minor setbacks are usually ways to propel yourself forward because there's learnings. And so staying focused and learning your business. It's important that you understand how the business operates and what makes it successful, so you understand where the needs are and be prepared to fill those needs before you're asked to do it. Listen, observe, be curious, ask a lot of questions. Just that natural curiosity is so important to get ahead, and make connections. Networking is very important. Networking with leaders and making your interest of moving up known is also very important. So, and if you're building teams, building a diverse team is another way to propel yourself forward, because we all have opportunities, but if we're able to build a team that complements our own skill set, then we're supporting ourselves and also the organization.
Thank you, Edish. Both you and Tracy provided wonderful advice for people in looking to advance or move up the ladder. Jerry, I would like to get some of your thoughts and maybe some final insight on if you have any words of encouragement for women wanting to be successful in our industry.
Right. So just like the lady said, don't just come to work. Find what interests you, find something you're passionate about, and thrive by finding your strengths and your interests, and by differentiating yourself as a leader. While there might be a lot of programs and support in place at your workplace, take ownership of your own career. Read articles, take online training courses, not just in the soft skills, but in these tech fields that we mentioned that are going to be up and coming. And the more you learn about the advancements and trends that are going on in the manufacturing industry, the better equipped you're going to be to provide strategic and innovative solutions. And those are the skills that will be important to differentiate you as a woman leader as the manufacturing workplace continues to evolve.
Thank you so much, Jerry. I think we're going to have questions and answers right now.
Yeah, we're starting to see some questions come in. Please, we could use some more. So if you do have any questions for our panelists, now's a great time. We're monitoring those as they come in. And I did want to give a quick shout out to one observant participant today, noticing that a couple of slides back, let's go take a look at this. We shouldn't be having earrings. So good call. Thank you for the observant person. There should be no earrings. However, thanks for making a good point of that. One of the questions I do see coming in actually was for Shamanique and Tiffany. Because of the rough start with the audio issues, we didn't get a good sense of who you are and what your path was. So the question came in, and I'll ask you, Shamanique, first, and then Tiffany, you can follow up. Give us sort of your path, what you've done in your careers as a woman in manufacturing.
Okay, so 10 years ago, I graduated with my degrees in biochemistry and molecular biology, and I didn't really know what I wanted to go to grad school for, so I just started working. I was able to start out at Miller Coors in their lab as a microbiologist and analytical chemist. And then from there, I switched to CSM Bakery Products doing as a quality specialist. And it turned out once I got hired, about 3 weeks after that, the quality manager left. And then another 3 weeks after that, the QA supervisor left. So I was kind of thrown into the world of food safety, managing that at a facility. And then after that, I worked at Cargill doing food safety and SAP rollouts and also supplier quality management. And then my most recent job was with Treehouse in the supplier quality auditing space. So my entire career over the last decade has been in food. It's obviously a passion for me. I don't anticipate leaving this industry. I like being able to touch people, even though it's indirectly, through their food and making sure that people get a safe product. So I definitely foresee myself being in this industry for a long time.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. And Tiffany, how about you? Same question to you. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I started in the food industry actually as an intern for one of my college classes. Pardon me. And it was with a company who was doing ready to eat like deli salads, potato salads, coleslaws and stuff like that. So it's like the worst environment I feel like you could start with. But I had a wonderful woman who was my mentor, and she not only took me by the hand and helped me. I was actually doing a project for lot traceability for them as my intern project. And she answered any question that I needed and just helped show me many things within the industry, find people that you connect with and those type of things. So as my career developed, I really focused on being very diverse, learning stuff that wasn't just about my job, but something that would help the overall company. That in turn led me to be voluntold, kind of, to implement some software within an organization. And I was on the core team for 7 plants. I really enjoyed that. It brought some very good insight to me. And also I was able to help develop some people below me to step into that role once I left. And then I also had a really great mentor on the operations side that helped me understand the business and why things were crucial and important. So that helped me in turn be able to take my employees and teach them things that they might not have had insight to. And I think that's really crucial and critical, is building the people below you so that you can be a strong leader for them. But that's basically my career.
Very good. Thank you both. And again, thanks for hanging in there. We almost had to cut it loose earlier. So a couple more questions, and I'm going to ask this of the panelists. So I have an 8-year-old daughter. The question goes, I have an 8-year-old daughter that is starting to ask about her career options. What would you encourage young women to consider? How would you, encourage young women to consider the manufacturing sector? And Tracy, let's start with you.
I actually am having those same conversations with my 17 and 16-year-old right now. So I'm glad that whoever's 8-year-old is asking those questions is way ahead of the game, because mine didn't start asking until 17 and 16. So fantastic question. I think it's all about exploring and understanding the industry. I don't think because that's not necessarily an industry that females gravitate towards, we need to promote and increase the understanding of technology and manufacturing for our women. I know there's been great projects out there. I know here in Canada where they're bringing technology and like software development to the classroom and having kids interact and actually do coding to try and not just pull all youth, and specifically they're bringing in female programmers in to teach these classes and have kids do coding in class to try and grow that sector for technology. And I think we need to do the same thing in the manufacturing standpoint, where we need to bring more visibility to the different areas in manufacturing, like food safety and compliance and lean manufacturing practices and engineering, and all the different areas that are the support services to manufacturing.
Very good. And what about you, Yidis? Any thoughts on how to talk to somebody that's looking into this, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a believer that we have to know our strengths and our natural talents and pick something that would complement that. And what I love about the food industry and manufacturing specifically is that you can do so many things, right? So if you are technically inclined, if you are mechanically inclined, you could be doing the mechanical operations now that are being replaced with in the industry with more of the computers, the artificial intelligence, and of course, if you are the type that like sales and communication, you could be going into marketing and supporting your manufacturing company through those support services and marketing. And if you like problem solving and you like you're a bookworm and like to read laws, you can be in regulatory and food safety, and if you care about the planet and being efficient and helping the world, then you can go into sustainability. So there's so much that one can do within manufacturing, and it really depends on where their strengths and natural interests lie.
That's a great answer. Thanks for that. So we'll go on to another question. Jerry, I'm going to ask you this. This is a great question. How can male leaders do a better job supporting their counterpart female leaders in the workplace in manufacturing?
That is a good question. That is a great question. Just as we talked earlier about just some of the biases, just knowing that they're out there and understanding how different women could be, or different strengths that they might be able to bring to the table. I've had the opportunity to work with some men who really appreciated their wives as mothers and just wives, and kind of appreciated that there are different skills that they had at home. And so those of us in the workplace were different as well. There's also a TED Talk I watched recently about how managers and sponsors and mentors maybe treat men and women a little differently, and spend a lot of time with women trying to build their confidence and some of their communication style and directness. And with men, they spend more time, working on building business acumen and understanding how, strategic financial and business decisions can help impact the industry. And so just knowing that you're maybe treating men and women differently in a day-to-day, and being really conscious about making sure you're treating them the same, and then also just appreciating women for the differences that they bring to the table.
Fantastic. And Jerry, I want to work with you after this webinar. Let's get a link out to everyone. I'd love to see that TED Talk. If we could offer that as another resource for everyone, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
So Tracy, this is back to you, I think. So we did get a question early on, and somebody was asking if how they could tap into the food industry as a food safety consultant. This person was kind of thinking of it from establishing a startup company. How would you go about that? I'm picking on you a bit because of where you're at, but walk us through any thoughts you have.
I think experience and having exposure. So if you're net new on the block in the manufacturing sector, I don't know if I would jump in straight away into that. I think the best way to go about it is, if that is your interest, try to get on with a company, with a food production company of some kind, and do some projects and get your feet wet and get a good understanding of the hands-on. I did not, like I said earlier in my bio, I'm a farm girl. And so when I did the full implementation of safety chain at our processing plant, as well as supported our feed mill implementation. And I was boots on the ground. I was doing QA inspections and and HACCP inspections on the lines with the frontline workers to get an understanding of what goes on the floor and the impact of food safety and compliance on the industry and on the business and on the success of the business. And so I think you definitely need to get your feet on the ground and be embedded on the operational side to get a good understanding. And as far as migrating into consulting, I think once you have established experience in that area, then it should be a fairly easy transition to move into that sector.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's you've got a great story. I love yours in particular, Tracy. What, Edith, any thoughts from your point of view? Have you ever thought of getting into that side of the world on the consulting side?
I have occasionally, although I like being part of an organization where I can see things from beginning to end and really see the impact that one can have in an organization. Right, as a consultant, you come in, you give some direction, and then you leave as a temporary thing. Versus working for a company where you own it all, the good and the bad, and I think that has been very helpful, at least for me and my growth and development.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, we've got another question. Last chance, everyone, but this one, I'll start with Jerry. When you are in a leadership position, what is the best way to talk to the men under you, especially the manufacturing workers, and gain their confidence?
Can you repeat the second part of that? What is the best way to talk?
Yeah, talk to the men that work for you, underneath you, especially manufacturing workers, and gain their confidence.
Okay, so it might not just be men, but surely with manufacturing and with IT, the majority of the people we work with are male. So I think upfront, gaining confidence is important to make sure you find a common connection with them, whether it be in or outside of work, but certainly within work and with the subject matter. Make sure you know what you're talking about. Make sure that they know that you have the knowledge that you need to do the job, and that you're not relying on them as men, or that there is some kind of a lack of knowledge there as a woman. So up front, just building that common ground and making sure that you've done your research and you know and are expressing that to them, I think will help build a lot of confidence in your abilities, especially when those underlying unknown subconscious bias might exist.
Yeah, great thoughts. Edith or Tracy, any other things to add to what Jerry was saying?
I was going to share early on in my career when I started building some of the programs for one of my facilities, going and working on the line side by side with the employees. I've actually learned Spanish so that I could communicate, and know it's not perfect, but people appreciate when you make an effort, and really trying to relate, understanding who they are and what their needs are, so that as you build the programs, you're really catering to their needs, not just what you need as a manager for the organization, but how does what you're doing supports them and helps them. So being in tune and working side by side, at least initially, is key.
Great. All right. And I'm going to go to Tiffany and Shamanique for this last question. Have you seen a difference in large companies versus small companies as it relates to opportunities for women leaders? Both of you have had a varied and long record in the industry. Can you start us off, Tiffany?
Absolutely. I would say that it just varied by company. I worked for a large company that had 7 plants in the US, and I worked for a smaller company who just had 2 within Texas. And I felt like, pardon me, the one in Texas, they looked at women differently. Therefore, they provided more training. Women in food manufacturing, they provide us going to the Women's Food Service Forum and things like that, where the larger company did not. But then I've also had a very different experience. It was a Canadian-owned company, and it was fairly small, and they also provided a lot of insight and opportunity for females. I think it was more the leadership that was in place versus the actual size of the company, for me in my experience.
That makes sense. How about you, Shifani or Shamanique? Has been your experience going through large and small?
I would say that it's not really about the size of the company that, like Tiffany was saying, it's just a matter of if the company is committed all around to providing opportunities for their employees, whether male or female. Some companies have really great infrastructure with different programs for development and things like that. And I work for really big companies that have that infrastructure and promotes that. And then I work for really big companies that don't have it. Smaller companies, it just depends on if they're really strapped for personnel and things like that, if they're going to be able to invest in developing those programs. So it just really depends on the company in my experience.
Okay, that kind of echoes what Tiffany was saying. It is a lot about who your manager is and how they go about their day to day and how you interact with them. So, well, this brings us to the end of our time together. I want to, on behalf of Safety Chain and everyone on the phone, wanted to thank Tracy, Edith, Jerry, Tiffany, Shamanique. You guys have been fantastic. This is such a great, this has been an honor for me to just sit and listen. If anyone on the phone does have any questions about Safety Chain, want some more resources such as white papers, webinars, there's other videos and replays, there's product and partner information, head over to safetychain.com. We do also have some a COVID-19 readiness kit for food manufacturers as well, because we know we're going through some weird stuff. So everyone, I appreciate your time, and this concludes our presentation today. I hope you all stay well and be well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.